Song, you want this?
Oh, hold on, my bad. Should I end it?
Mm-mm.
Never mind. Yeah, just let it do what it do.
Nah, you ain't no rapper,
So,
man. Like no
welcome to Metaphysical Monday. We'll be starting shortly.
over there,
I
you
say,
know what I'm saying? Doing that witchcraft, and you cooking over that chemical, carving out for you. I think she's carving out for you.
Anything you can do, I can do when it comes down to trap voodoo. My flow keep evolving, your flow is just played out in trendy like boo boo. I roll the best weed, no stems and no seeds, your shit is just boo boo. And if you really think you can't contend, then you must be really out of your noodle. My bite goes harder than a Rottweiler. All that you are is a poodle. Queen of trap magic, and I am no savage, but I am still down with the taboo. Got gangsters and witches on deck. Hoodoo, sigils and pistols, no flex. Juju, but I am the mother, and there is no other. My children, no voice for the sun you. Cause I can do it easy like 1, 2. Faster than the hoe on the avenue. Pimping the microphone, can't leave the game alone spiritual, but I gotta make a revenue. Throw the money in the pot, that's a susu. Everybody eating good, feed the whole crew. We healing the whole block, you know that it's off top. Could use a flip flop, I'm a big shoe. I read tarot cards, that's an oracle. Tell the team how to move for the pinnacle. Cause times are getting rough, making a living tough. Poverty got us living nonsensical. So I had to reach back to the old school, but I'm moving to the future metaphysical. You better tighten your backstroke, cause Kola is pure dope. You better stay woke or you gon' lose.
If you voodoo, I can do what you do. If you voodoo, I can do what you do. If you voodoo, I can do what you do. If you voodoo, I can do what you do. Easy, believe me, easy, believe me. Who does she think she is?
Oh, that's my sister, baby. And she's a fool, not a woman.
Believe me, why niggas get me easy?
You really think that you are doper than I? Crowd gassing you up, but this is not a tie. My bars keep on gassing, car passing you by. My lyrical arsenal just multiply like Aaliyah and Romeo, bitch, you must die. Schooling you students feel like junior high. Serving up your scriptures just like a rabbi. Smoke you and toast you just like a ribeye. Tricking your ass with my mind, I'm Jedi. Two people in one, no, I'm not Gemini. Guess you can say that I'm double the fly. High breezes of hip hop and that is no lie. Y'all the children of the corn, I'm the boss Malachi. You was talking hella shit, now you wanna play shy? Acting hella connected, but you with no Wi-Fi. But you're cutting it closeness to Miyagi Banzai. Throwing shade at the jet, but decided to let it fly. You caught me silent and thought that I was really a nice guy. Throwing these balls around your throat, we call that a necktie.
I can do what you do. Voodoo, I can do what you do. If you voodoo, I can do what you do. If you voodoo, I can do what you do. Easy, believe me, easy, believe me, easy, believe me.
All I'm trying to say is that in Africa and Indian, I've seen things that
were not dreamt of in our philosophy.
yes, that's right. Black magic, sorcery, demons.
And goblins and devils and ghosties. I don't believe any of it.
The holy man once told me in India that these things actually exist.
Right on, right on. That's on the Kola Soljet Trap Magic, the Root album, streaming on all major platforms. Thank you, thank you. And I want to just give a shout out to everybody, that's been supporting Metaphysical Monday. This is High Priestess Sister Kola Soljet. And tonight, I do have special repeat guests that's really family to the platform, and that's Brother Knowledge Born Allah to God. So I want to welcome him on. Thank you for coming through. And so tonight we're going to be building on breaking the tape. Yeah. Now what? Yeah, so go ahead and, you can say a little something about that.
I'm happy to be here, first of all, with you and on this beautiful Metaphysical Monday, this moon day, this Ma'at day, this day reflection, this Sankofa moment that we have in the ability to be able to look back to go forward. And honored to be here with you and the new Soljet Healing Community, High Priestess.
Ashe, well said. Now, Soljet Tarot, they may not know where we are, but I did, it's there. And I will post this video on, so I will tag Soljet Tarot in it later so they can watch the replay. But anyway, so did you want to run the clip now, or did you want to do that?
Kola back bend, don't break. I learned from all my mistakes. Levitating when I step over snakes. Don't fool with a cop or a snitch or a Jake. I'm awake, don't need you to give me a fate. Gods and goddesses come.
Okay, perfect. So that's just a little, a little bit. So breaking the tape. I wanted to know, when you heard the now what breaking the tape topic, do you what did come to mind when you hear breaking the tape? The first thing that comes to mind for you.
Well, in the spirit of four of my favorite runners, Jesse Owens, in the spirit of Carl Lewis, in the spirit of Flojo, in the spirit of Jackie Joyner Kersey. Those spirits, those are spirits that defy the odds. In our modern day, the young queen, the young god, Shakari Richardson, one who runs with the weight of the world, bold, fearless space. They all defy odds. They all sought that space to break through the tape. And also our elders, uh, Tommy and John Carlos, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, those two warrior elders who stood tall and lost everything for breaking the tape. First and second in the Olympics of the Summer Olympics of 1968. And after Dr. Martin Luther King was killed, peace and blessings be upon him, those ones who stood tall before the world and stood up in the space of tyranny and oppression and stood strong. So breaking the tape, breaking down the barriers, breaking down the stereotypes, putting it into a cycle of domineering, oppressive ideologies, those things that no longer serve you. You run the race and you allow it to run its course. But when you break the tape, that race is over. And you have your, like Nipsey Hussle would say, victory lap in that space because you ran that race. And, from a hip hop perspective, we grew up with tapes. You understand what I'm saying? I let my tape rock till my tape pop, what Biggie said in Juicy.
Yeah.
So we literally had those experiences where we played a tape so long in the tape deck or a cassette or a Walkman that the tape popped. So we had to go back and see if we could repair the tape. And we became pretty surgical with the ability to be able to repair the tape. And if not, then we hope we found a way to get a new tape.
Yeah, that's interesting, brother.
Things
Things you said repair the tape. So is that what we've been doing? You think, like all of our attempts to move forward? Because see, I'm gonna go ahead and read the flyer, but before that, I just wanted to speak to what you said. When I heard you say break the tape and you started with the runners, the first thing I thought is the finish line. But you put that other twist. The tape. I guess it can go in so many different. We could do so many metaphors with breaking the tape. So I just wanted to read a little bit on the flyer, just so people can set the room. And I welcome in whoever is in, give thanks. Feel free to comment and build. That's what it's all about. Ashe. It says, so Knowledge and I tonight will be having a high vibrational conversation on the divine rebirth and resurrection of the Black people and conscious minds, and even those with conscious minds who are ready to get out of the circle of confusion and arrested progress. It's about breaking the tape in our minds and the frequency that keep us rotating in a death march. When we say we want freedom, but we hate our liberators. So that's the premise that we're building on, so Did you have something to say to that? If not, I'll we'll move on.
I think you wrote it perfectly and it was said perfectly. Decided to delve in however you see fit.
Okay. So in saying that, do you think that that's what we've been doing in an attempt? When I talk about breaking the tape, it's the mindset. The tape is a mindset. Um, and it goes in so many different, I wanted to build on a tape because it's not just, it's like several tapes. We have the tapes that we came here and we were programmed to follow. So you have like a tape of just being in this country. It's a tape that almost everybody is no matter what their color, race, culture, creed, it's a certain tape that it's like a collective tape that goes to the outer collective. But then there's a tape that goes into the inner collective, which would be our communities, our races, our cultures. And then we have the tape that runs through our families, that runs through our experiences, what we may have went through as children and things like that. So there's several, so what I've decided is this new, as in the spirit of starting Metaphysical Monday in a new year, this new build that's going to be on Colography TV. So this is where this is going to show, and also I'll stream on Denim Design. It break the tape. The Conscious Outcast is actually going to be the new name or the way we're going to rock with this series. Break the tape, because it's so many tapes that need to be broken. It's a subject that continues. We break in. That's what the whole thing of getting into consciousness, is really talking about and dealing with is, breaking that tape. But we have to constantly break tapes because that goes back to the barrel mindset too. But that's what I wanted to say on that. But now that the first thing I want to build on is what do you think of when you hear Black is a monolith?
Black is a monolith. I think that's
Or Black is
a.
not a monolith? Or just what do you think of the monolithic attitude? I apologize to rephrase it.
No, it's all good. It's beautiful. We could look at it in both ways. We could look at black is a monolith and black isn't a monolith. I think the call for it to be a monolith is to standardize it in a way to where interlopers and other folks can't infiltrate and seek to distort. So mono coming from that oneness space, that singularity point, that's all agreed on it, that every mind, regardless to its generation or its representation, can pull from and say, okay, a monolithic space. This is black. This is the point of singularity. Out from that, whatever expressions we may see from it is a further representation from that singular point. Black is a monolith, but black in the aspect of looking at it as not a monolith is we're not all one way. We have different thoughts, different ideas. These are the things that make it great. So when we see diversity, when you hear a term like diversity and inclusion, these are all of the folds or facets of black. So if we looked at God, God from the point of singularity, the manifestations of God is seen through the various agencies. The Nile Valley culture called it polyrhythmic. So the rhythmic manifestation of God being made manifest in the physical world, the emotional world, the spiritual world, and all of these aspects through various agencies. All of these various agencies are representative of the one. So now, if we looked at blackness in this sense, or black in this sense, from the monolith or non-monolith side, we can be able to deduce from that particular point what black is and what black is not. So the what is not lends to the identity that we don't all think the same, walk the same, talk the same, but we're all black. So that yin and the yang symbol kind of makes it representative of this line that's in between, but these are variances that exist within the same circle.
Yeah, that's deep. Um, you know, I was doing some research about a month ago, and I wanted to, I don't remember what we were building on. It could have been something, for Metaphysical Monday, or just, I don't know, it might have even been for your bill. I don't know. It was something, but I wanted to look up the monolith aspect. And so my question, or I never really thought about it until then, like, what is this monolith? You know, um, this man on here who was speaking, he was a black man, and he was basically saying that part of the program is to give us this this form of being a monolith. Like, that's what I meant by the outer circle. It's like certain things that black people are given to believe. Like, people want us to, the white people, the powers that be, the elite, the powers that were, excuse me. Shout out to Shavi Zane. Um, there's certain beliefs they give us real limiting things. Like, example, uh, Democrat and Republican. Like, there's nothing else in between that. And 9 times out of 10, we're gonna go Democrat. And if we don't, we're held to a certain um, I won't say a standard, but a certain responsibility that we wear. National holidays such as Black History Month or Kwanzaa, um, just national holidays in general. If you tell your family something like, I'm not coming to Thanksgiving this year, or I don't want to celebrate Christmas, things like that. Um, to vote or not to vote, period. Not just picking Democrat or Republican, but just even that concept. And then feel free to ask me some questions too, because I would love that. But what do you think? Do you think that they play a role, that plays that role? What do you think of how that plays a role in that tape, in one of the tapes? I mean, people get real sensitive about some of these things, even if you go into religion. We're all expected to be Christian. And I mean, Islam have a degree of acceptance, as far as even Christians know, but it's not many, it's not room for much else. You may tell somebody you're a Jehovah's Witness, and you looked at, like, or any other type of, and I mean, in African spirituality is just out of there. So, we'll fall up under the guise, and still it goes back to that, the so what do you think of that? Or even on another note, how can we get our people to, because this is where it starts at. If you want to talk about breaking the tape, we have to first look at how we arrive to the space that we're in now. We might as well get to the meat, because you coming, you coming ready. So uh, like, all of these different mindsets, it's I don't know, I've said a lot. Help me make sense of that. It's just so much,
You did an amazing job. On the flyer, there was a tape. So before I answer, what's one of those tapes? What's one of those tapes that you play over and over until the things that were contained inside of the tape came out, and you had to get a pencil and try your best to reel it back in? So what's one of those tapes?
um Run DMC. Hold
Okay.
up. Yeah, like Run DMC. I played that a lot. Shoot. All them tapes that came from the flea market. Keith Sweat, all them tapes. Everything that was it. I think we had DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. It was all kind of tapes back then.
So
Cool
any
J.
of the tapes, the tape that came out like that, there was some kind of a tiny bit of a warning before it unraveled or it just stopped. So if you could go back for a moment with the tape, when the tape unraveled, did you unravel with the tape, or did you compose yourself and start the process of stretching the tape all the way out as much as you could and trying to guide it and reel it back in?
It depends on the tape. The only time I unravel, I can get composure, because I want my tape to, you want to keep the tape. So you want to be gentle and fragile with it. But the only time you start getting unraveled is when the tape be skinny, like it's to a space where it's about to snap, and it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes
Mm-hmm.
back to, do we repair the tape? But normally I compose myself, because I'm a music lover. So I want to take my time with it and wind it back. We even got to a place where we would put it in a boom box and just hit rewind and let it go. And just Yeah.
So think about a space of loyalty. That's one thing. Not the word loyalty, subservient space. So if you're in a space where you have a connection to this particular tape that you're talking about that goes on the loop. So you take a tape, it's oblong, right? You see the tape is oblong, and then there's 2 points. There's circles right there. So the perimeter of the tape would be that oblong space that's outside of it. The area of it, if we looked at it mathematically, would be what's there and contained. The radius is half of the circle, and the diameter is the point of the center line in between those circles. So between those circles, there's like a little rectangle. You know what I'm saying? That shows you those
The little clear
reels.
box. Yeah.
Right. That's how it's wheeling up. So it shows you from one side or another, and there's a mechanism in the tape that keeps this side from going into that little white part that we've seen in the tapes, right? So if you look at those tapes, you look at VCR tapes, they're kind of done the same, right? So now look at the amount of detail that's there for us to listen to this tape until this tape goes. But this tape also goes on a loop. So if you had a rewind button, you could rewind the tape. If you had a fast forward button, you had to take the tape out and flip it over and hit fast forward in order to rewind the other side, open it up, and be able to go listen to it again. So now look at the loop, the psychological loop that folks have been operating on. They've been operating on the guise of this particular tape going on the loop that was passed down from generation to generation. So not even in acculturation, this is why we do what we do. I remember you told the story about the mother, the grandmother, the mother, and the daughter about the pot and the ham, and they just cut it off because they nobody said why they was cutting off the thing. They said, "Oh, I ain't have no pot that was this big." So they did what they saw the people before them doing. So that's a tie, right? That's a tie to for them together based off of a tradition. So to vote or not to vote, to go to church or to not go to church, all of these things we look at outside of the guys based off of that tape, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what happens when you break a tape? What happens when you break the cycle? You your the outsiders will act as if you broke a bond that they had and that they shared with you. Unless you went to them and say, hey, look, I love this and I appreciate you for giving it to me. And honest to you for it, this is where I am. Just for instance, imagine Muhammad Ali going home to his father and saying he's changing his name from Cassius Marcellus Clay the third to Muhammad Ali because of some Muslims he heard in the street. His grandfather, his father, and him have the same name. That's a connection to this bloodline right here. And now I'm breaking the tape and coming home because I heard some Muslims talk some noise somewhere, and I'm changing my name to the name that they gave me. So now there's a relationship of acceptance, and then on the other end there's a space of denouncement. So if you say you went from Democrat to Republican or Democrat to Independent or Republican, whatever the space may be, or you say I don't care about voting at all, these become things that is a challenge. It appears to be a challenge instead of them knowing you and considering you. You understand what I'm saying? So none of these things come into play most of the time. So folks go based off of tradition. So they'll say, "Oh, such don't believe in Jesus no more. This one, or he don't go to the mosque no more." Or, you see what I'm saying? So they formulate opinions based off of that and never do inquiry. They just pass the space of judgment, right? It passes space of judgment because they're still hooked into the tape. So they can't see anything outside of the guise of it. So, the reason why I asked, when that tape unraveled, did you unravel with it? Because most folks, they unravel when the tape is unraveled. They're like, man, they pull that thing out and they say, forget it, and they throw it in the trash.
Mm,
They don't want to take the time
mm,
because it looks like when you see that big old glob and ball of tape, trying to put that back together is not even a thought. You had went through the thing so much that you was wise enough to be like, let me just stretch the thing out, blah blah blah, and then put it in the tape deck and hit rewind and let it start rolling
yeah,
itself up.
yeah, until it twists inside the tape.
Right,
I wanted to
right.
say this though, God, that's heavy. That's really heavy knowledge, born. I appreciate that. But to answer, yeah, I've unraveled about the tape. It depends on how much we have to unravel. Because see, some people we like easy fix. That's how I created is ingenuity, right? That's that quick Mercury energy. Like, oh, what can I do? To get it back going. But in real life, I'm the same way. If it's too complex to unravel, we tend to just throw it away or sometimes even wrap this up. You ever wrapped it around the tape and hope that like your big sister or whoever, somebody in the family, a parent, or somebody, uncle could maybe do it for you, or somebody that know how to do it. So sometimes we pass it also. But yeah, go ahead. You can finish your thought. If not, I'll just weigh in on what you said.
So, what made you go through the process of seeking to repair the tape? What was your connection to the particular tape that would cause you to take the time, tape or tapes, that would cause you to take the time to reel those in the way that you did?
I like the tape. I like the song. I like the music. It's something I connect with, as you said, culturally. Um, One thing I wanted to say though too, before I get into that too deep is well no, I'll say that after. Yeah, I like the tape. I like the tape. I like the artist. It may be my favorite song. Like if it's Cha Cha Cha, I used to have a single cassette to MC Light Cha Cha Cha. And then on the flip side, they had House Power. I love that song. And sometimes we play, I love Cha Cha Cha. I love House Power. We would play that tape so much. I would play that tape so much that it began to, and sometimes that's why I said it get thin. We know that it costs money. It wasn't easy just to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go get another tape." I mean, on who dime? Your mama, your daddy, who? So it may not be easy to repair that tape. And God forbid if you borrowed it from somebody, right? Yeah. And then Naila in the audience in the comments, welcome in, sister. She said you can relate to that particular tape. That's why you want to save it. Relatability.
You said it was something that you wanted to say after you said.
You just kind of brought up some things in me in the beginning of my journey. Um, I feel that where I made a mistake at, and sometimes I still have to check that because I'm so passionate, but this was like a long time ago. I think if I could do it all over again, I would have been more sensitive with the breaking of the tape. I would have been more sensitive in the way I presented. I know, like in 2007, anywhere from probably 1999 on, I offended a lot of people. And even though some of them have come back and said you were right on point, oh man, you've been conscious or whatever they want to say, I know in that space, the only people I wouldn't go there with is like my grandparents. Because I just know they already elders, and I mean, it's no need to argue with them. You know what I mean? It's disrespectful. So but that's the only thing I wanted to say is I would have been more sensitive, and I think that's why I want to handle this bill so sensitive. But we can still say what we need to say. But we speaking on the tape now. Um, do you think we're in the space now where I want to after this I want to change it up a little bit. Do you think we're in the space now where people are ready to start breaking the dismantling the tape? Or how long do you think we're gonna run on the tape? Or what do you think we're at now? And I'll even add this to the mix, because this is where I wanted to take it somewhere else. Knowledge Born might have got kicked off, so we're gonna give them a chance to come back up. So I'm gonna still pose the question, if anybody's in the audience and want to answer it, where do you think, are people ready to break the tape on a personal or collective level? We know on a personal level they are, but are we in a space now where, I don't know if I gotta invite him back up. I don't think I have to, but are we in a space now where, it's time when we can break the tape? Are people ready on the collective level? I know there's still things that we're going through and stuff. So while we waiting on Knowledge Born to get back on, what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go ahead and I wanted to start with devotion anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the singing bowl. And I'm gonna start with an affirmation for the collective. I think that's a good place to start, because we're about to, continue to build on some deep topic. Give me one moment. Okay. How's everybody doing on this Monday anyway? Tonight is the sun sign is in Cancer. The moon, we have a full moon in Scorpio tonight. So this is a real deep, heavy, reflective moon. We have some other transits coming in also today with Mars and Uranus facing off, and that could be really intense. So we're going to be dealing with that for a few days. Okay. So give me one moment, and I'm going to check on things. I'm going to play some music, but I'm going to pull this affirmation first, and then I'll see what's going on with Knowledge and see if his system is down or whatever. Okay. So one moment. So I got, today is a fresh start. Okay. So it says, today is a brand new day that I will embrace as a new beginning and make the most of this day. That's an interesting one, because that kind of goes into breaking the tape. That's we have to remember that every day is a new day to reset. So today is a fresh start, and today is a brand new day that I will embrace as a new beginning and make the most of this day. Okay. And that's what we got to do. I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself. I'm going to play a song, and I'm going to mute my camera out after I'm done with this and check in with Knowledge Born real quick. I do apologize for the delay. Oh, okay, cool. I picked this earlier too for the community, and I need to go ahead. I'm going to make a video after this. And so we are focusing on the solar plexus today. So that's in the gut. And that's interesting. I'm wearing the color yellow, and that's what it's associated with, the solar plexus. The ability to speak our truth, to have the courage to do the things we need to do, to set boundaries. So even to connect from an honest place, because we have the ability to be ourselves and be authentic. So today is the third chakra, solar plexus, oneness and unity. I accept the oneness of all life, and I know that I am one with all others on this journey. I support them and let them support me. I am brave and not afraid to ask for assistance. I allow myself to empathize and sympathize with others as I choose to see the love in and all around me. I see everything as a part of my own life, and I accept others for who they are. I find common ground with others rather than differences, as this brings harmony into my life and into the life of others. Okay, so this is just about as unifying, and that unity thing is an interesting piece as well, because it speaks back to what Brother Knowledge was just saying about the tradition part and how that keeps the tape running also. Okay, so right now I'm gonna go ahead and play some meditative music, and I'm gonna tap in with Brother Knowledge Born, and just see if he's good, so we can go ahead and get back started. Give me one moment. One moment. Maybe I can play Ella and Dell. I'll just speed it up, slow it down a little bit. Or did I speed it up? Slow it down a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna cut the camera off real quick so I can take care of something, and I'm gonna have the music playing still. Oh, never mind. Look, he's here. Just like that, he's here. Uh-oh. Do I need to bring you? Oh, you up on your own. Okay, cool. Okay, he's here. Just that fast. Ashe. Ella and Dell. Shout out to Ella and Dell bringing in the spirit of the ancestors. So you ready? Did you hear what I said, or did you want to? I was just basically doing the affirmations, and we can get back into the bill. Thank you guys for being patient. I appreciate you, Sister Naila, especially. I see you there. So I was just doing the affirmations. Did you hear them?
I didn't.
Okay,
I had to
cool.
reset my computer. Maybe they wanted me to break the tape, with my
Breaking
connection.
the
Yeah.
I kind of like that piece about today being a fresh start, because it is a fresh start for this series, or, I'm gonna be building on, well, that's what it's gonna be called, this installment, if you will. So where were we? We were on the Black community. We were on tradition. And what do you think about how some Black people get up in arms? Now, this is taking them on a national level when we don't stand up and say the pledge. Because I got real ignorant with it. During the once all of these police brutality things started happening, I would just sit there, whether it was at my son's game, at the schoolhouse, whatever, and they would look at me real strange. And I guess that's another reason I'm the conscious outcast, because I was like, whatever. I would make those stances like this. I have to fold my arms with it and stuff to let them know I'm not feeling this right now. So, but what do you I don't know. It's a lot that I can go into, but I just want to hear what you have to say to me.
Yeah, I was very young with that myself. I was young. I was in military school, like I was in military school, and I wasn't having it. You understand? Like this is the worst place in the universe to be rebellious and to be a conscious outcast. The flag was there. I'm like, we not saluting that. So they would come to me in my ear, to be in my ear, like, if you don't love this country, you should leave it and go back to wherever you from. And blah, blah. They're just saying all kind of stuff. So you're there and you have to take it. You can't respond or nothing. You see what I'm saying? It's a military environment. So it's a total control environment. And I'm the one in the total control environment being non-compliant. You see what I'm saying? So what they wanted to pit. We were kids. I was a teenager. So these grown men and women that were in this environment, they had no kind of threat for you to be a child. For you to be a child in this environment. One, this is your last chance in society. And then two, you're in their society. You see what I'm saying? So you're not in a society unto your own. You're in a society where you're supposed to just follow suit. And I'm in that society like, no, I owe honor to God. I owe honor to you. Who are you?
How do they discipline you for not?
All kinds of ways. Yeah, all kinds of ways for that. But they respected it also. They respected it because this was around the same time, 95, 96 time frame where Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, he was Chris Jackson at the time, and he basically got ousted out of the NBA for standing up the way that he stood up. So it wasn't a space to where it was isolated. We know the things that happened with Muhammad Ali. You see what I'm saying? Because of his spiritual beliefs. And, not necessarily a spiritual belief alone for John Carlos and Tommy Smith, but the injustices that was happening towards the Black world. That was their silent protest. They took the stage to their platform. And while they were supposed to have won these medals against the world for America. America was in a state of civil unrest. So their silent protest was to put their hand up, put their fist up, and say the Lord's Prayer. So both of them were praying in silent protest. They were actually praying for the condition of the people of America as a collective. And they were stripped of their medals, they lost their families, all kinds of, and they were never invited back because that was sought as sedition. You see what I'm saying? So I'm in this environment, not really putting two and two together, but didn't care anyway. So my judgment is with my Lord. You see what I'm saying? And so from that perspective, I didn't care what or who came in regards to that. So being very young and naive to a lot of things in that space, but being strong in my conviction was another. So I understand the mindsets that come along with those things, and also the the brunt force that you're met with internally and externally because of it. You know, so very, very young, even younger. I won't get into that, but that was just one example because you said the Pledge of Allegiance, and it brought me right back to that space in regards to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like with that piece that we built on, well, you built on it first on Due to Knowledge, and then you and I did another build on my page. And we it was just a random live, and we spoke on the Nipsey Hustle piece, to be at war with yourself and be at peace with the world, or to be at peace with the world and be at war with yourself. And I think I'm going through that right now. I really am, because I don't know. I'm not gonna make it an emotional thing, but I want to talk about because where I changed that, where everything changed for me. When you want to say when did you break the tape? Is I've been breaking tapes, but the tape that is the challenging tape that brings us to this live with the community that I was dedicated to for over 20 years, the Black community, is when I witnessed 2020. So I'm gonna ask me, and then I'll ask you, what when you hear 2020, and you can ask me after, what do you think of that whole situation? Not just COVID, just all of these different things that were taking place at one time. I mean, it was, it was like, oh man, I don't know. It was almost like I'm gonna let you say your piece because I don't want to influence or take away from what you may want to say.
You know, our minds are similar, if not the same,
Yeah,
in most regards. That's
facts.
it was a time that we were warned about, and those who didn't heed the warning, they suffered a grave chastisement. But those who heeded the warning, it was a glorious time. Amidst all of the chaos and the confusion, Mother Nature got a space of a reset, and many of us who were in tune with her or seeking to see her face got a reset as well. And everybody else got Mother Nature's wrath and chastisement for being out of alignment with her so long. And for those who might have survived this year, they're not the same as they were for the most part.
Right. That's
So
beautiful.
what about you?
Well, I think that it's interesting because I always thought it's a spiritual thing going on as well. It kind of irritated me to hear our people, saying things like Black people can't get the COVID. Look at all of the white people dying. And it was crazy because even if that was the case, why say that? Why put that? Instead, just give thanks that you're in a space of divine protection or divine alignment. I think that she kind of reminded me of an Oshun energy, as I'm wearing in Oshun spirit tonight. Um, she acted as a mirror because it reminded me of the lost poets, or is it the last poets? The last poets, when the revolution comes. I saw a lot of contradictions, and it was very heartbreaking, very disheartening. Certain, even in the celebrity world, I even had a little encounter with Erica Badu. I did. I got on her live and not on her live, but in her comments, and she didn't respond because she can't respond, but she hit like because I know she heard what I said, and I appreciate her acknowledging it. But it was really a mess, especially on Instagram and Facebook. You know, the two. I'm sure Twitter was tweeting and tweeting, but I'm not on Twitter. I have an account, but I'm not on Twitter. But even in the streets, you know, I think this energy really started during the Trump election, the first time around. It was this real, you know, intense energy. And I don't know I didn't know what to think because I'm still coming out of it, knowledge. This has been 4 years now, and it left me very much in a state of disillusionment because people that, you know, I'm thinking I'm still on that fantasy stuff. I mean, not, I don't want to say fantasy, but that goes back to the tape again. What about the false hope tape? That version, right? So, and that's on many, many levels. The false hope, even Jesus coming or whatever the false hope is, you know, for whoever it is or something different, right? I don't want to be, I'm gonna be real, but I don't want to be, you know, I want to be neutral right now, or I just want to speak my piece. You know, it was just very disheartening because as a Black revolutionary woman and a woman that pride myself in standing and fighting to dismantle, I'm gonna be very careful, but to dismantle certain things in the system that needed to be revolutionized. You know, being out there in Oakland, which is a very, you know, revolutionary, progressive. Uh, it comes from a past of that, and some people still carry the legacy. But how much of the legacy, and not just in Oakland, is the tape, right? Tape versus deed. So they get out there in Oakland, they show up and they show out. They absolutely do. That's one of those kind of places. Um, but then you get exasperated. We get exhausted as revolutionaries because we're in a war that doesn't seem like we're winning. It doesn't seem, for me, 2020 was the start of me just beginning to see things totally different. When I just decided I didn't want to be in the march anymore. When I decided, like, you know, something's off. And I uncovered a lot of things in that. And I'm gonna just leave it there. I uncovered a lot of things because some people are not here for real change. You know, some people, it doesn't serve them financially or comfort wise or politically to create change. So they're part of keeping the march going into the circle, which goes back to the monolithic mindset of the outer collective and what we were programmed to be in the first place. See, sometimes we fight. I'm gonna stop there. I'm gonna stop there. Unless you want me to finish that piece, but I'm gonna just say sometimes we
Yes,
fight.
please do. Please do.
Sometimes we fight on the wrong side. When I say we destroy the liberators, but we want liberation. Sometimes we have it so twisted that we fight the true people of light and liberation in lieu of what's erroneous and dark and really designed to keep us. You know, I was speaking to my dad today, and I felt a way because I've been so disillusioned by this whole thing. He was just talking about, he kept saying by design, by design. Now, you know, we hear this a lot, but it was just everything was by design. Everything, 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 everything. So it's like it was no way to win when everything is by this certain design for us to be in this certain. So even a monolith that we think is our beliefs, we think is our thoughts and our ideas, is this all part of the trap? Is what I'm beginning to see. And so, yeah, and then people get so sensitive about it that they literally fighting you. Like, and I guess I'll make that a question. You know, how do you continue? We talked about this just recently when you said, just like you, I've been through, you know, I've been battered and bruised by the people that I want to help. But how do we just keep on, you know, like they'll kill you, like literally, because it's so many things attached to keeping that circle, that tape going. It's so many things attached. That's what this book I'm working on. This is what it's about. Understanding how many levels it go on, and people that you think is righteous, they start exposing themselves, and they part of keeping the tape on rewind. And I'm gonna pass it to you on that note, and and as you see, I'm still passionate about it. This is why it's almost hard for me to look at the world. Y'all disappointed me. It's hard for me. I was like, is this for real? The straight hair went perm, and the nappy hair went perm, and the perm hair went nappy. I was when the revolution comes. So, I guess maybe I'm too literal. I don't know. Am I too literal? You can answer that in your, passing it back to you.
I loved your answer, and I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Dissatisfaction either brings about change or it gives you an out. One or the other. Either way, it's change. I remember I was a teenager, and I was going to say this earlier. I was a teenager, and I was a young, fiery, young militant. I went to my uncle's house, and my uncle was asking me for certain books and stuff. And he asked me for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad's book, How to Eat to Live. So I found him, How to Eat to Live, Volume 2. He's like, nah, that's not the one that I wanted. I want Volume 1. They changed a lot of stuff in Volume 2. So my uncles, both of them, are preachers. So my uncle, he ain't eating no pork. He's been vegetarian as long as I've been alive, he's been vegetarian. And, we went to the church, and it wasn't too much the Jesus talk. Then it was adapting slowly but surely on the Jesus space. And we had talks all the time. One day I called myself being bold. I went to his house on this bold tip right here. Now. I went to his house and I called myself asking him questions boldly. And I said to him, I said, why are you asking me for these books and all this stuff? I'm like, don't you go to church? You understand what I'm saying? Like he's listening to me say what I say, and we going through this thing. And I say to him, let's go in the Bible, right? So I took him into Psalms 82, right? So I'm reading through Psalms 82 from 82:1 all the way through, right? And I said, the destiny for man is to be God on the planet, blah, 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 blah. And I'm talking to him. And he said, stay right there. I'll be right back. After he locked the door.
Oh, no.
And he said, stay right there. I'm going to be right back. So I was there boldly. And in that moment, I remembered that this was the same uncle that would discipline me physically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, oh, I done messed up with my uncle. My uncle about to come back with this belt and whoop my behind. Okay. My uncle came back with the Constitution and bylaws of the Universal Hegel Spiritual Church. And he said, read them. So I'm going through the tenets. And one of the tenets then, in plain English, was we believe God is man and man is God. Plain English. Bylaws, Constitution, tenets of their belief system. Universal Hegel Spiritual Church. This is my family's church.
Could you say that slower?
The Universal Hegel Spiritual Church. Like this church is dedicated to Hagar, the wife of the other wife of Abraham. that they called the maidservant Ishmael's mother. So, in their constitution and bylaws of their spiritual church organization, one of those tenets was we believe God is man and man is God. That's what it is. Pardon me. So the one of the tenets is we believe God is man and man is God. So I thought that my uncle was going to be aggressive in his discipline, but he chose wisdom to explain what many of us miss because we don't take the time to look in our families. As you said before, even the stances and the spaces that we take, we inherit them, whether we know who we inherited them from or not. So when my mother and them was young, when their mother and them was young, when their mother and them was young, in the space, whatever the dissatisfaction was, they rebelled. That's what's true. So if we go look at the Maroons, we go look at the Gullah Geechee, we go look at any of these spaces in American history, we can point back to a space of rebellion. We go back to the boats and find a rebellion. We can go back to the continent and find a rebellion. We can come here and find a rebellion. Wherever there was a space of dissatisfaction, we rebelled. So that's a cycle that continues to go on a loop, sort of like the tape, right? So someone broke the tape and broke the spirit of rebellion, but then we seen rebellions all through our lifetime and present time. So rebellion is still a thing in the space of dissatisfaction. So my uncle used an approach to wisdom in a normal space where he would have disciplined me physically, he disciplined me mentally because that's what I needed. So I said, if you knew this whole time, why didn't you just tell me what it was? He said, I'm a scholar with 50 years dedicated to what I'm doing. Who are you? That's what he said in plain English. You see what I'm saying? Like I see my uncle on the road and go to conventions and all this and this and that, but I didn't put it all together because it just looked like church. And it wasn't a knock against church because we did church, we did everything. We did everything. It was just interesting that he was asking, for these particular books as a way to basically build a bridge in between what we had going on because he saw where I was. So looking for a way to impart what he had already lived into where I was living and what I was going through. So that was something interesting. So as it relates to the space of revolutionary struggle, I'll be brief. We continue on cycles that we inherit, whether directly or indirectly. If we were to go ask Mumia when he was a kid, 17, 18 years old, would he have done what he did over again, knowing what the future would have been and where he is now in the 70s? For people to remember him for a moment and forget him for a lifetime? I don't know. Tomorrow is Asada Shakur's birthday. If we went back and asked her if she would done what she did at the time that she did it for a time for people to remember her in a moment or remember her in a song and forget her for a lifetime and spend her lifetime in exile, would she have done it? I don't know. We can fill in the blanks of the names of the spaces and the places. So it's something that we inherit, but we inherit it with a great cause. The spiritual books that were written, the Bible and the Quran, are based around those who took the stance to stand up with God and be an enemy towards men, but a deliverer of men because of their obedience to God. And we saw the lives that they lived. So it's okay to read about Jonah until you in the belly of the whale. You see what I'm saying? So us in this revolutionary space that we inherit being dead in that well for 3 days and 3 nights. It's sorrowful. So the people that you were going to go save, you end up in that space, in that belly of the well, left for dead, and the people think you're dead, so they just keep on going on about their life. You see what I'm saying? And we have to continue on tradition. So one of those things that keeps me committed is I remember my mother and my father and their mother and father. So the lifespan on this side is connected to the lifespan that's on that side, being akin, being one and the same, and making different decisions in regards to the personal spaces because of the horrors and the hell that I seen them live and die with. So a chance to continue on their work, but live it in the way that I'm supposed to. So not necessarily to a space of an organization or concentration or anything like that, but to my parents, those the ones who was responsible for my life being something.
Now, wow, that was heavy. Do you think certain things that deviated from the tape, like is it our job to keep the tape running because of the legacy of our parents? And how long do we keep that tape running? Um, when the parents could have been rebellion, like you spoke to, or they have kind of broken certain, they've repaired the tape. And honestly, it may run good for a while because it's way better than listening to Dixie, right? So we break that tape and we got us, we got us some James Brown going or something, right? But then there's a time where it's definitely a problem where we are now in this modern world. It's becoming a big problem. And the thing is, do we run two separate tapes? Like, or is there a way to combine the tape? I mean, remix the tape. How about that? If we feel like we got to keep up a legacy, or would it be in our revolutionary and rebellion nature and spirit of our parent to further the cause that they started, not continue to run the tape? What do you think of that?
I think that is a beautiful and profound question, and it deserves a beautiful and a profound answer. We are here to build on the legacy of who and what came before us. But we're here to build on that legacy through our lens, not through their lens. We inherit from them the best part, and then we add on with our best part, and then we guide those ones who come after through their best part. That's a continuation of life. So when we look at the continuation of life, there is no way in the world I could have ever done what my mother did. That's what my mother did. I'm here because of what my mother did. My children are here because of what my mother did and what I did. So you start looking at those things from that aspect, and they'll be here, and their children will be here because of what they did. So continuity in regards to that life is one thing. Mission, goals, aims, objectives are another thing. We want our children to inherit what we did, and that's not how it works. They're here for their particular purpose, and the wise ones amongst us will find out what their purpose is and it'll be a guide for them in their purpose. And whatever bumps and bruises that comes along with them along that way on their path, that's their path. And we're supposed to be there for them on along the way for that path. I think the thing that happened was the tape was switched. So we started to cleave onto things from another tape and not the natural take that was going on. We started to want to veer off, and in our veering off, we stayed off. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like Jonah with the whale. Jonah didn't want to go to the town of Nineveh, so he snuck on the boat like he could hide on the boat. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't get further away from Nineveh. He got
Oh
closer
yeah,
to
yeah.
Nineveh.
The
Yeah.
story in
So
the Bible.
right. Yeah.
So
So
I
him
wanted
and
to
the whale.
you said so
Go
what
ahead.
so what did we switch the tape with?
The tape was switched in
What generation, or would you when do you think the tape was switched? When we started
with
deviating from
our you spoke about it in great detail when we lost our connection to the earth. So
mm,
there's a thing where we stop being in tune with nature, so Mother Nature stopped being in tune with us. And we
mhm,
started to lust after those things that was other than the earth. So those things that were unnatural, we put them in place of things that were natural. So the tape got switched. So now we're dancing to an unnatural tape. And now we're looking at the mothers of civilization with no regard versus due regard.
mm. Yeah, that's deep.
So
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, that's it. That's all I want to say. Now.
Mm. This is a heavy piece, and I know I'm gonna definitely be built. This is really not volume, but this is part one, because it's a lot. Like even right now, um, I don't want to jump on it or jump the gun, so I want to just say, you know, when we talk about like was switching the tape, what do you think of the '60s? That whole movement to where we are now, and even how we were neutralized by the government, and the ones that were remembered for a moment and forgotten forever, and even those right now that speaks to how revolutionary they are, but they don't even consider the fallen soldiers or their offspring who are sitting in penitentiaries and in graveyards right now while they talk about revolution. It's like you risk your life. Why would you want to be a revolutionary? In that sense, like damn, they kind of like you said about a certain group who I won't say on here. And I've heard it by several people that there's no real protection, but you represent this particular organization. So yeah. So what do you think on that? Like, was that a form of breaking the tape? What happened in the '60s? And please feel free to, again, you can ask me if you.
I think these all work in tandem. I think we have a symbiotic relationship with the time of old, but also a symbiotic relationship now, an unnatural symbiotic relationship with trauma. An African proverb says, "No one loves the warrior until there's an enemy at the gate." So the enemy's not at the gate anymore. The enemy has encircled. The enemy has infiltrated it. It's run rampant in the infestation. But we no longer look at the enemy of any kind as an enemy. We look at the enemy as a friend and the liberator as an enemy. One of the things that was artfully done, just to show an example that's visual, in that first Black Panther movie, they showed a guy, quote unquote, a black guy from America as an enemy to Africa.
Mm,
And the CIA operative from America as a friend to Africa. Black people in America use time, resources, and all of their might to help West Africa gain its independence between 1957 in 1972. If you look at former President Kwame Nkrumah and some of the others, they had got the inspiration to go back and fight for their independence in West Africa from being around and seeing Black people in America.
Absolutely.
So there's a there's a relationship. There's a relationship towards, you know, African people from the continent fighting against enslavers all the way through from Africa to America in the 16, 17, 1800s. And now we see the symbiotic relationship between 1957 and 72, some places as late as 1989, 90, in regards to Black people aiding to fight against the tyranny and oppressive spaces of Africa by European occupation and others. So we have a relationship where we fight with and for one another. But these relationships are strained through these other artificial means of communication purposefully. So the space of an example of a National Geographic will show us in the likeness in the same way in the Wakanda movie that they show the Black Panther film, that there's a rift in the relationship, a sever, a tear, a small incision in that tape, and if you pull on it too hard, it'll fall to pieces. So when they look at being something of their own making, now have you look at yourself and not look at them. You see what I'm saying? Whoever they are, and that's not relegated to one particular group of people. That's holistically, you know. And we have a space of accountability internally and the space of accountability externally. So that space in regards to how we see each other, it becomes very important.
What do you think of the term, and is it still true? It's a white man's world.
I guess who depends on who you ask and who's white and all of that. You know, these terms have become gimmies, and they belong to everybody now, right? So
They're part of the tape also. So that's why I brought that in, because we're talking about breaking the tape and all these things that, I even got one of your favorite ones on here. I want to hold space for you real quick to explain again to us that's on this tape of why you don't like the word and why it's so negative for us to use the B and the N word, because that's also part of the tape. It's so infiltrated in our culture that it's almost become like saying what. So, and shout out to the people in the comments. I see you, Al. Right on. Thank you. So yeah.
I think white and the N word and the B word are synonymous to one another. I know it seems like it's an expression that means like what, but there's no other racial epithet that's used in that way to describe anything. And they're not running up on each other, calling each other, like I don't want to say anything derogatory on your platform, but like the S word used to describe somebody of Latino descent and killing them.
Correct. The derogatory.
They're not going towards any Irish person with the M word and killing them for it. They're not dying and be like, when I see that M word, it's on site, but it's on site with the N word and the B word. It's on site.
And I think it's interesting that they, not to cut your wit, but just real quick, I think it's interesting how they are so permissible, and that's part of the tape. But also, they're so permissible with the use of the word B and N, and you can't even say gay like that. They'll block certain slurs out, but they're so people just say it like water. It's no one, Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's so permissible to say.
And it carries a death sentence.
And it carries a death sentence, especially when they attach the color to it, you know. And it's always that. Even the ones that think they're cool and they your homie and all of this other stuff. Yeah, that's deep. So you're not really, you know, you don't see it like that. It's just the white man's world, right? So I want mm, 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 mm. Wow. I asked that question for a reason because can the tape can the tape be broken on a collective level? Now I'm gonna build next time because this is such a big piece. I probably won't even. I don't know how long you got even, but I don't know. I don't even think I'll be able to teach on the spiritual component of breaking the tape. So that'll be a whole nother build on that. Because first we got to understand what's in this. You know, discuss what's in this on the playlist. What's on the playlist? So the elders versus the future generation. I found this, we want to bridge the gap, but then I found it where it could be problematic also. And I'm having that issue now. You know, why I'm the conscious outcast. And you warned me. You warned me. That's all I'm going to say on that. But it's that disconnect. Or you know, and even the ones that claim to be like conscious or forward are the rebellion ones. We just spoke to that. They're still on the repair tape. Or let's get to the black tape, right? Even with and that's I'm gonna just say, you know, how do we it's almost like if we don't break the tape while certain mindsets are still here, the tape will never break unless the future generations just totally get so out of the values and out of tune with us or with the old stuff is that they just create a whole nother some other stuff, you know, which I don't know if that's the strongest tape, but I don't know. That's not for us to say because the future is not ours; it's theirs. You know, so because my thing is, if we break the cultural tape and really could break it successfully, will we have to break the outer tape also? See, would the tape have to be broken? Do we still get to this wall that we always get to? Does it take a war to break the tape? If you want to look at it from a space of unity, or a space of trying to see the thing that we fear a lot of times is that radical change and the type of change that they're talking about it has to come from that type of force to eradicate it, but then would that be considered more of a dictatorship? Or we in a space where we forcing people to evolve even though we may think that's the right thing or that's the thing to do? You know what I mean? Versus you know, we coming in like, no, we breaking the tape. You know, the tape is broken. You know, because one of the things that a lot of people were afraid of during even a pandemic, I'm even speak to what my mother said when I was all bamboozled, because what I wanted to say is I thought it was gonna really be a war. Like I was all excited, like, yes, it's time now, you know, we're getting here, you know, we're gonna tear it down, you know. I'm thinking this crazy way because this is this is part of the tape that we've been lulled to when we get, because there's a conscious tape that plays as well now. There is a conscious tape that plays. It's mono. They see it's like the monolith then went into two. When you said it was switched, it also split. It's like taking a tape and splitting it in half. Because it go back to Democrat, Republican, and things like that. Because within this so-called cultural tape, because we have seen so much war, because we have seen the repercussions of us operating on the tape, we tried our damnedest to break the tape. But in that, we created this other tape. And there's, you know, there's this one tape that we all share, whether they're conscious or non-conscious, it's the slave tape. It's the we came from kings and queen tape. It's the slave tape is bad because it's like the slave sermon. It keeps you in your emotions. It keeps you in a space of non-progressiveness because you can't get past the emotion to deal with the problem. Once we identify what it is, and that's not to say we can't look at slavery, but how important is, you know, is it to, I said a lot there, but does it have to take a war for the tape to be broken? Because it's a lot of things going on within the tape, or do we, as evolving beings, begin to just pull our own tape out? Because we got to remember, there's a master copy, right? You spoke to that. There's a master copy. So just because I destroy my tape, don't mean everybody else's tape is destroyed. Everything else is copies. The master copy in Hollywood or wherever, and all of the other copies are going to individual homes. That's like the Bible or something. Everybody got a copy. So just because I destroy my tape, don't mean the collective tape is destroyed, right? So then we have to make a decision. Then, do we become the conscious outcast? And I'm gonna stop there on that note.
I think all change is necessary on every level. One thing we saw from that global space that they called the pandemic, it affected everybody across the globe. So indiscriminate to where they were and what was going on. A collective heartbeat was there. So the last part of when the revolution comes,
Mm-hmm.
Abiodun says N-words will still party and
And
bull
bullshit
and bull and
and
party and, and what do you find?
the
What did
same
you still
thing.
find? The
Yeah.
same thing. So even with this still happening, even with this complete constructive change, the whole premise of what it was is you'll change for everything else other than yourself. You see what I'm saying? So you'll shoot, you'll do this, blah, 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 you change clothes, you do all of these things, you'll do everything for everyone else, but nothing for yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
even in the midst of the complete constructive change happening, there's still some people that are going to go with whatever the status quo is. So you saw when folks like, oh man, we're not buying no Gucci. We seen one guy go buy all the Gucci
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
because we said we wasn't, whatever it was. So there'll be something, because of that, and that's a space, and that's a sickness. Sophia Stewart was talking about that with the Matrix and the Terminator. So even the people that was in the space of rebellion, they were a small in number. It was small in number versus the collective sentient beings that were larger in number. So every time there's a space of civil unrest, it's a small number versus the larger number, but that doesn't stop the small from fighting.
Correct.
You see what
And
I'm saying? So
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Absolutely. And just to add to that, it goes back to, people got to get right on this note, because the people that are evolving, the Soljets, the conscious outcasts, the ones they call them chosen ones and all that. I don't really say chosen ones, but the ones that can see that the tape needs to be stopped, they have to get to a place, because they even had people in slavery that was breaking the tape. They really did. They didn't have the same experiences that everybody had, because everybody wanted, that's a monolithic thought, to think that all slaves went through the same stuff. Oh, we were just slaves. They have people that don't even know that slaves actually, they had a reward and punishment system even for stuff like Christmas. That they actually did the dummy suppers, what they call dumb suppers, with the white Irish, that became a tradition during Halloween, trying to call on the ancestors, hoping the ancestors will show up, because that's the tradition and belief that the Irish carry. So were people that were thinking people even then. You get what I'm saying? And they did have to pay for it. But, it's the tape, so as we're evolving in this age of Aquarius, is it important, how can you be part of this collective struggle of arrested progress and then try and evolve at the same time? It's a very tricky thing, and not get back pulled into the tape yourself. Because all Earth is, now I'm getting on the planetarian stuff. All Earth is a place of illusions and storylines, and we choose. You choose the storyline. But there are so many storylines that are running. Because even though they may have something going on collective, they don't know what we're doing in our hut, what we doing over here, what we talking about in our slave cabin. We may be having conversations they don't even know about. What we have in our homes that we have now and stuff like that. So it's a lot going on. I'm gonna jump it on this real fast because I know we've been on a while. Did you have something to say to that, brother?
See, working. I wanted to ask you from the healer perspective, because who heals the healer in the perspective? You see things that we can't see. You have sight beyond sight in that space. So how can we best suit this healing space? And I know you're going to do a whole build on it, but how do we best suit the healing space for those who are looking to or willing to? I think that's a disconnect as well. I think that's another tape where we didn't see value in certain things outside of whatever vantage point we were looking at them. So if it was militaristic, if it was revolutionary, whatever it was closed-minded focus. It wasn't a holistic focus. We just looked at, well, we need to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absent-minded more like than single-minded, because single-minded, you're still taking the whole holistic approach. You're looking at it and bringing it into a singular focus, but you're looking in absent-minded space. Forget everything else other than this. Yeah.
The first thing as individuals, we need to stop having circular conversations, and then we can stop moving in circles. I know I don't want to get too personal, but certain things that I've just been through as of late, even in our relationships with people, those responses, man, those trauma responses, those tools that we feel are, the right tools to use, or the right methods, and they're no longer the right methods. We have to get, they say you got to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, because the whole thing is we jump from tape to tape trying to find a way to get off the reel. We're looking for ways to get off the reel, and then we go boom, we just get another, I'm not feeling Kumo D no more, I'm gonna grab this, and it's still cut from the same master machine. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when you talk about the revolutionary that's leading troops, like you said, single-minded, or the teacher, or just whatever it is, the messiahs that even tried to, I wanted to give some reverence to brother Khaled. This was a gift, and he's one of the he's one of the tape breakers. He did what he could. He lost his life, but is the leader of the ants, has the leader of the ants. The ants is, when I speak to the ants, I'm speaking to the Death March, because they follow a certain leadership. And when that leadership is taken away, or something is taken off course, because they go by pheromone, right? And so when that's taken off course, they're totally confused. So confused, but they're conditioned to be soldiers. So they're so confused that they just still aggressively march. They're marching to almost like a death rhythm, and they're just going in this anger, and they're just going. And there's nothing you can do to get those ants back on course. Once they get into this spiral, it's just a spiral that keeps spiraling until they just start dropping dead. You get what I'm saying? Dying from exhaustion and stuff, right? So is the leader of the ants, because you talked about the party and bullcrap part of it, have the leader of the ants gotten too comfortable? Are they misinformed? Are part of the agenda? And if you don't want to answer it, you really don't have to, but I just want to put that out there. The leader of the ants, the people that we uphold to be righteous, the people that we look to help liberate us. Because the real liberators, we like the rogues. They the ones that just really get, the ones that have real liberated minds. I mean, they just considered like, you ain't nothing. You do better just putting on the garbs and everything and coming through like, I am the savior, come through. Like Erica said, they don't really want a savior or a liberator. They just want somebody that look like one. So what has happened? Is it, or do we need to face the fact that the tape may just be too hard to break? Not necessarily just the community tape. We go to the community tape because that's all we got. We don't want to hear Dixie, So we rather listen to hip hop and R&B, which is also a part of the tape as well. We find other ways. We create tapes on that space because we never really could listen to the full music. They never gave us an opportunity to join the party. So we have to create our own tapes. And sometimes even making tapes off the radio. We couldn't even buy tapes. But we made a way. So is it when we talk about this leadership, because all of these people are having platforms and stuff, and one thing that I'm really wanting to do on this platform and just in my life, what I live for, is I want to see the change. I want to see some of the changes. I know we can't eradicate everything, but I don't want to just sit here and tell people what they should do to make their lives better. And I can't help them to see what it looks like in the action. And that's what I was speaking to when we talk about the trauma responses. I really want to change. I'm committed to change. And to be committed to change, I mean, it has to be a level of understanding, and it has to be a level, because we got to call each other out sometime on these rewinds. Just like I was saying about how Sister Helen used to do in church. And she'd be like, you shouldn't let Satan use you. She used to say, you shouldn't let Satan use you like that, baby. You know, whoever she's talking to, I would see her whisper to different people, say, you shouldn't let, that's a shame the way you letting Satan use you. That's bad, you know. It sometimes it have to be that reminder, though, just so to get people, and sometimes the demon come out because people get mad at being corrected. So it's a lot of stuff that we're fighting. This is a spiritual war. That's why it goes back to spirituality. Because without the spiritual component, nobody wants to get in line. We've lost that part. At least church gave people the get in line part. And in Islam, give you the come on, don't be late. We got to get in line. We got laws to follow. So those to a degree can be good, because now it got to a place where it's I don't know, man. It's like the tape being pulled out, but what you do with it? And we didn't fix it. It's just like you said, you just pull it out and get mad and throw it to the side. And so on that, did you want to say something to that ant piece real fast, or when I said about the leadership in the ants?
Yeah, they can put somebody in front of you and call them the leader of the ants.
But the
See what I'm
ants,
saying? Yeah, yes.
will they follow?
Some will, and most won't, but some will.
Yeah.
Yeah, some will, but most won't. Even if it might look like it's a lot of them, you don't know the number of the ants. You see what I'm saying? So it might look like it's a bunch of people following this ant into the ocean or to a trap or whatever the case may be. Those who sought to follow that, that's what they was attracted to. So their job was to lead them away. You see what I'm saying? Or lead them astray, whatever the case may be, because they were astray. They wanted to be astray, so they were led astray.
There's just so many traps, man. There's so many traps, because you can take that in so many ways. It's like a tape up in the tape up in the tape. It's things that's going on. The funny part is, I don't know. I keep getting back to this Twilight Zone episode, and even as a spiritualist, it gets scary as you evolve. And that's why I ended up devolving a little bit sometimes, because like I always say, I want to stay relatable, because you really thinking you climbing to the top of this barrel. And it just reminded me of that Twilight Zone episode. Somebody keep knocking you right back in there. The soldier, the dancer, the clown. You know the episodes. We Twilight Zone junkies. As we talked about in our interviews before, So it's but there's a path. There is a path, and know it's a path, but that path requires sometimes stepping away, sometimes being alone if you want to see it. Because what I'm thinking today, what Spirit gave me, is that the more that small collective began to put in practice the breaking of the tape and showing them ways. So you got to show people, especially Black folk, they got to see it working. And that's why spiritual application is so important. It's important because once you get to a certain level, you get knocked back in the barrel. That's where the frustration of the ant march come from. The ants are marching ferociously because they're realizing that there's no real solution. It's just getting the troops rallied up for what, right? So it has to be a solution-based thing. And I'm speaking to ants now, like we're talking about Animal Farm, but there's going to be a time where I'm going to have to really we have to deal with the substance. And like I said, I really wanted some of these conversations to be brought on a panel, but I think we're doing a great job at bringing some things out with that, because the thing is, there's people living realities that other people don't even know about. They're right now living, when they say that I'm living my best life, there's people really living their best life while the world is going through all kinds of other things. But you got to get to a place where, that's why we can't be so separate all the time. As we starting to get the message, understanding this interdependence, it has to be a collective wave that show people that there's other options. There are options. You don't have to be in that circle. A lot of misplaced anger keeps us on that tape because it feels good to complain. It feels good to bend and have other people like, yeah, right on. They know exactly, you know what I'm saying? They like, when I lose my job, I like to go back to the hood. I like to sit back like, back in the day, like, damn, with all your friends that ain't doing shit. The ones that ain't working, they ain't making life happen, but they make you feel good because you right in that same energy with them, right? So it was almost like the dream that Nature Boy sold everybody. He had me like, oh, come on now. I was starting to get mad, but damn, so this is when he's by himself. I'm out here. I watched that crap for about 3 months. He was talking all that talk. He a tourist, so he had some shit with him. And I'm like, wow. And he's, I'm out here in paradise and y'all in Babylon, and it makes you feel like, hold on, I want to be in Babylon. He over there eating fruits off the trees, and look at what he drove those people into. So was he really breaking the tape? So the character is a whole nother piece. That's why I said this is a big piece, and that's why I chose, and I'm not going to hold you up, but I chose to name this whole bill because I'm moving it. Like I said, we're going to be working more on Calligraphy TV now. I don't care if it's 5 people watching. And this is going to be the Break the Tape series. And I want to go into different ways. I'm going to have you come back. Other people too, panels, whatever. And we're going to continue to build on, that's the show. We the Conscious Outcast, breaking the tape, the Conscious Outcast. And we got Do the Knowledge Radio. To know the knowledge, you got to do the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, that's what it is. Doing the knowledge means shit. Is doing the work. It's literally doing with it the spiritual application. It's a form of that also. So in this space as a collective and other people that got bills too, that's the hype we all need to be on. Because we want real solutions. It ain't about who brought the message first, who else said the message. We didn't be thinking about how we're going to break this tape so we can have a better life as a collective, or we wasting our time. What are we fighting for community for if we can't do something that, feeding them and all of that is good. Some of them don't even need to eat. We eat too much. We need to be thinking back on, we need to give them food for the mind because we don't even eat all of that food that we just consuming and say, well, I went out and I gave them 500 turkeys. That's cool. But it got to be more than turkey and bologna. I'm sorry, but it gotta be more than that. We gotta feed, obviously, but it's a lot I can say, but I'm gonna just stop it there. I'm gonna let it stay on that note. I want to see if I missed anything, because honey, to catch you is to catch a leprechaun these days. I'm not mad. You on a positive track. Yeah. How do you think? And we cannot realistically think that all Black people are going to be on the same page mentally. That we're all going to think the same spiritually, and that's what we get to. Do we grow into this space where it's not so much as a melting pot, but it got to be these circles of individualism of people that have their own individual collective thoughts and other people that want to join these collectives. I really believe that's really what the Age of Aquarius is about, because like you said, there's going to still be tapes playing because the government's still playing a tape. Even though the tape is being discombobulated, the tape is still playing, to a degree. And we're going to have to get to a place where we just stop listening to the music. Stop listening to certain radio stations. If it's not what you're wanting to be on, we have to make that. Because see, what's going to get them there is just being sick. Because we're all getting to a point where we're so spiritually sick. We're sick of seeing the reality of what's happening in our hoods, of what's happening in the world, what's happening on TV, what they're doing to little boys and little girls. Got everybody so confused right now. They don't know up from down and in and out. It's pain and stuff, that break the tape. That's why I said, is it, just to answer that last thing, is it war that breaks the tape? Or does it take war? Is war required for the tape to break? Passing the mic to you to close or whatever you want to say.
I think this is an epic, much needed, very intricate series. Breaking the tape. There's a process. There's a mind frame that's associated. There's some deprogramming that's necessary. We have to find who is willing, and then who is willing versus who is able, and see who is willing and able to be able to do such a thing. All of those things come into play in regards to what it means and who's prepared to do what's necessary after the tape is broken. Who's there to be the healers, and who's there to be the healers to heal the healers. You see what I'm saying? And who's there to usher the people in on the other side of the tape? Which if all they know was this side of the tape, they can't fathom anything other than that tape. So this is where all of the stories that come into play, the stories that came into play after asking God for deliverance, and God delivers you, and you say, oh, I'd rather be back in captivity. What about that? Who's there to help those things, because those things come out? You see what I'm saying? So I'm thankful for you to have the fortitude and the courage and the willingness, because this isn't easy. You see what I'm saying? Like you're already the conscious outcast, so now you're incurring more on to be able to give those who are in need of it. There are people who are in need of this because they already seen this part and they don't want no parts of it, but where did they go? And if they don't resonate with this old paradigm and they're looking for another paradigm or a new paradigm, they're only going to be outside for so long. They're like, they'll start making concessions and say, at least they might got a piece of chicken up in there or something. You see what I'm saying? And that's all it takes. Mm-hmm. So having the courage and the know-how and the obedience to walk by faith and not by sight through this process, and walk us through this process with your visionary sight. I commend you wholeheartedly for this transition and this necessary space of giving us this medicine to elevate and continue the Soljet.
Right on. And just to say, right now, I'm just only putting it out there, to whoever watching, including the government. This is just a collective thoughts where some people may not even thought about stuff like that. So just thinking, just first putting it in your mind. That's the first thing where the seed is at. The thought, just what if we could break the tape? What if that did happen? And honestly, I don't see it happening without disaster for some people, because they have to see things get bad before they get worse, to a point where, even like you said, I see the beauty in the pandemic because it really brought us together in beautiful ways. It brought families together, the ones that could see the value in it, because there's so many. Like, I wanted to say this too, when something you said, I was going to say earlier, even like with my mom. And I was telling her, like, I was all excited about the protest, this, and I'm like, it's time for it's new beginnings. Oh my God, Courtney, what's going to happen? She's, falling apart. And I said, well, shit, we were just up watching it. We just couldn't believe it. We up all night long, like probably a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Just all these things it was exciting. And I said, well, I'm not sad. I wasn't scared one bit. And I think them Gen Xers, we scare people. They say, y'all some crazy kids. Y'all crazy. Y'all not scared of nothing. Y'all are so unbothered. Y'all ain't scared of the aliens. Y'all ain't scared of nothing, because they fed it to us, like that Y2K stuff and all of these other things. So we just looking like, okay, come with it. I'm damn near waiting on the devil to show up. It may make things a little more interesting. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, she said, I don't want the world to change. I don't want to be out of my comfort. Not that she don't want the bad things to change, but she don't want the comfortable things in the tape or the good songs. We all, everybody want to get away from the sad music, but the good songs the good times that, like, even when certain stores were falling, they had Black people that was literally sad. Oh my God, Sears is closing down. You know, because these are certain things that we've gotten comfortable with. But in order for things to change, they got to change, you know? And one last thing, you spoke to my courage and everything, but to be honest, Knowledge, I'm really innocent in a lot of ways. I'm such a pure heart. I'm literally like the emperor's new clothes. I didn't know the things I was doing was upsetting people. I thought they wanted it as bad as I wanted it. I thought that everybody thought like that. Like, I want to be free, you know? And so a lot of things that I did, and that's why I be so hurt about it, is I didn't know I was doing anything wrong. You get what I'm saying? I didn't know the politics. I don't know. I don't fit in. Remember? So I didn't know that upset people. I didn't know they had people that pretend to be conscious but really got an agenda. So when I'm speaking of truthful things that offends them, I didn't know people were like that. So I had to learn. You know, I had to learn. I spoke to you about the Emperor's New Clothes, and hopefully one day you'll come on and build with me just on that. You know, so of course it's a concept, but that's a lot. That's all. I mean, yeah, I think I've covered a lot of the stuff. So yeah. Anything else you want to add, say, take away? Will you be coming back to join us one day?
All of the above. All
Yeah.
of the above. I'm here. I'm here for the benefit, because we have to change our stories. You know, one of my goals is to tell 1 million Black stories before I leave this earth. I got about close to 3,400 stories told now. So that's a drop in the bucket in regards to 1 million, but getting that collective together to tell 1 million Black stories, because the stories that are being told about us and to us aren't us. So
Yeah,
if they're
well,
not like us, then you know.
they not like us. They not like us. But no, in that healing space though, we got to make sure you stay healed, because that's how you're gonna tell them 1 million stories. You know, it's so much going on right now, man. And I just want to say to everybody out there, this is some hard transits. We have five planetary bodies in retrograde right now. Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, South Node, North Node, all in retrograde right now. And it's almost like certain things you can't avoid, because some of these are fighting planets. Some of these are very heavy things. And so we just need to try to be at peace with ourselves. Drink water. Go drink some water. Then what you tell them after that knowledge? Go drink some water and go do what?
Go to bed.
Go to bed. Go to bed. And a lot of people don't believe in reincarnation, but that's the tape. That's why I said what I said, because you'll be like, well, why do we need a tape? When you said that about the nature tape, why do we need a tape at all? Right? Al laughing at us. Go to bed. Why do we need a tape at all? But I think part of that tape is how we operate on the planet. That's part of even the DNA is a tape. When you talk about people's DNA, I think we need to tap more into the junk DNA, because it's not junk. So many things that's taking place on these tapes. When I talk about things in E5 and stuff, I told y'all these beings, these gods, some of this stuff we align with, they have the ability to change your DNA. This is how we break the tape. But everybody not ready to move like that on the collective level. I see realities now, and other people see reality and live in realities now. Just like a billionaire don't know what it is to live in the projects unless he lived there before. He's not on that frequency. His reality is different than the reality of a person that's still, in the struggle. That's different worlds, because we're seeing and experiencing things that the other person is not seeing and experiencing. Just like there's certain realms of existence where certain beings exist, and certain realities and people and mindsets exist that we don't even know about here in America. You've been in the military, so the way we think sometimes is jaded, because we've never been nowhere. We don't know what's out there and how the world operating in different struggles and things and victories that people may be going through. They got places on this planet that nobody don't even know exist. That they got people living there and probably living their best life uninterrupted. But whatever the case, I just wanted to end on that note. It's a lot. It's a mystery. And I was basically saying the earth is programmed with a storyline. You choose your storyline, though. That's what creating your reality is. That's what mindfulness is. All of those things. And we could be mindful on the collective level, which is change, what means changing the world. That's what changing the world is. Or they got people that they call us selfish. Once we learn the secret, they rejected the secret. So that's my last question. I mean, when they reject the secret, do you not? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Do you not drink from the fountain of life just because the collective don't want the fountain of life? Because that may bring you in a different location that takes you off your mission, which is to help these people that needs help. Or do you just help with the ones that are being conscious outcasts that need need light too? I don't know. It's difficult, but we're gonna have more bills on that. And I'm done with my piece. Do you have anything else you want to say or add to that?
Thank you for this time, and thank you
Thank
for
you.
this, because time and space are very precious. So to circulate that time, giving of yourself to us, I think is remarkable.
And when I turn this off, just to turn it off so I can just say like something to you without being on the live, how do I do that, or can you do that? Like once we cut the live off. I'm still learning StreamYard, you guys.
I got you. So whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. So I think I am ready. This has been a pretty long and full live. I thank everybody who's out there watching. Shout out to Al. Shout out to Naila. We're going to continue to build. Next week, I am going to be bringing in a priest. He's, he gangster with it. From what I see, he I don't know how to pronounce his name. I don't want to chop it up or mess it up, but he's going to tell us about his journey. I don't even want to say his path. I know it's something with African spiritual tradition. And he go live on his bills. And I don't really even know, a lot about his personal journey, but we'll be building on that next week. And that's pretty much all I got. And once again, you guys have a good night. Y'all be peace and break the tape. Now what?